Hi everybody, welcome to 5 Minute Ministries. And I know it's a different location, but I'll be back in the original one next time. There's a meme that has 3 panels. In the first panel is a kid on a bike and he's holding a stick. In the second panel, he takes the stick and he puts it in the spokes of his bike. In the third panel, he's wrecked his bike and he's laying on the ground holding his knee. And he's blaming something or someone. Now, it's meant to represent a whole lot of different things, of course, but the whole crux of it all is the kid causes his own pain, but he's blaming someone or something else. And we do that in real life. We cause our own trouble, we cause our own trials, and we're so ready to blame somebody else. We say things like, well, if that person hadn't done this, then I would not have done that. Or we even try to blame God. God, how can you let this happen to me? Well, we cause our own trouble and our own struggles and trials a lot of times because, sadly, it's in our nature to do so. We really don't have much of an excuse for it because we choose to do those things. If you're lazy at work, you've chosen to be lazy at work, and you might lose your job. If you choose to run around on your spouse with someone else, then you have chosen to destroy your marriage. The list can go on and on. We choose a lot of the things that cause us suffering. And this is the type of suffering I cause self-induced suffering. We bring it upon ourselves. And it happens so often, but we are so ready to shake our fist at someone else because we don't want to accept the blame. We don't want to face the consequences. We don't want to pay the price. Nobody wants to. But it's our own fault. And no one else is to blame but us. As someone has put it wisely and said, choose to sin, choose to suffer. Anytime you sin, you're going to cause yourself suffering in one way or another. Now, I'm not talking about karma, I'm talking about reaping what you sow. If you do the wrong thing, your sin will eventually find you out, the Bible tells us. And you're not going to get away from the consequences. Even if you ask forgiveness and get forgiven by a person or by God, you still have to live with the consequences. If you're driving drunk and you hit somebody, and you kill somebody and put yourself in a wheelchair, paralyzing yourself, that family may forgive you, God may forgive you, but that person has still died and you are still in a wheelchair. There's no getting past it. So what do we do when we cause our own suffering? Well, I've already said it. The first thing we need to do is seek forgiveness. Of course, we have to ask forgiveness. If we want to, we can't get rid of the consequences. But what we can do is get things cleared up. Try to make things right. That is the Bible's goal for us. That is what God wants from us. He wants us to be right with Him and at peace with everyone else. And ultimately, when others cause you suffering, you have to forgive them. But when you cause others suffering, you need to ask them forgiveness. Now, when we cause our own suffering, the next step, of course, try to make it right if you can. You may not get forgiven, but at least you do your part to do what you know is right. Now, we're always going to cause ourselves to suffer in one way or another. We are a product of the choices we make. Sure, circumstances, can shape us in a way, but what we do about those circumstances are what really makes us take shape. It determines who we are. If we make good choices, we can mold ourselves, with God's help, we can be molded into decent, godly people. And again, that's another thing God wants to do. He wants to mold us to be more like Him. And that means doing the right thing. That means seeking forgiveness. That means trying to live as godly as you can. Now, that doesn't mean if you do these things, the suffering won't come, as we already talked about. But Why bring it on ourselves if we don't have to? The point is, make good choices, and there will be less suffering that you cause for yourself. Well, this has been 5 Minute Ministries, and I'll see you next time in the original location.